Buonasera. Welcome.
Buonasera.
My wife Sabina and our videographer, our daughter Ariana. Tonight we're going to do two pastas. Amatriciana we're going to do with rigatoni, and then penne with tuna, and that'll be all non-meat, and this is meat. So we'll start, and Sabina will share with you why the name it has here. So why don't you say why we're doing this? And I'm going to first start off with cutting the pancetta. And we're going to use a little pancetta, dice it. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. And we're going to saute it, if you can put the gas on. And we're going to saute that with some onions. And then while I'm doing that, Sabina will share with you why it's called and where it began of it. So as you do that, we've got a half an onion sliced, not diced, sliced. And we're going to put that in the saucepan with a little oil.
Okay, so amatriciana dates back a long, long time, even to ancient Roman times. And the origin of amatriciana is from the area of Lazio in Italy. The town of Grisciano actually originated a pasta by the name of pasta alla Griscia. Pasta alla Griscia was made with guanciale, which you saw Dr. P cut the pancetta, and I'm going to show you now. This is what guanciale looks like. Guanciale is cured pig cheek. So that's what it is. And then when it gets sauteed, this is what it looks like. Now it's very fatty, as you can see, and it's very particular. The real amatriciana only has guanciale. However, since it's so difficult to find in the States, we decided to go ahead and do it with pancetta. And if you don't have pancetta, you can use bacon as well. And for vegetarians, you can use seitan, which is a wheat meat. It's made with wheat, and it supposedly has a good taste for vegetarians. Anyway, getting back to the amatriciana, it's a very famous dish in Italy. It's made only with the guanciale or pancetta, with tomatoes, and with pecorino cheese. Very important that you use pecorino cheese. In Italy, the various recipes, you can't interchange the cheeses. Pecorino is a sheep's milk. It comes from sheep's milk, and it's a little saltier and a little sharper flavor than Parmigiano, which comes from cow's milk. Backtracking, the Griscia, the reason I mentioned Griscia is because Griscia was the origin of amatriciana, where it was only the pork cheek and pepper and pecorino. When tomatoes were introduced to Italy in the 17th century, then it became amatriciana. And what does amatriciana mean? Well, it comes from a town called Amatrice, which is in the province of Lazio, and Amatrice is a beautiful hilltop town. It's about 120 kilometers from Rome. Rome became famous for the amatriciana play because of the proximity, and unfortunately in 2016, the town of Amatrice was devastated by an earthquake. What happened was all the restaurants in Italy, in homage to it, and as a way to show their solidarity and support, they all put amatriciana on their menus, and all the proceeds from anyone who ordered that were for the funds to build up the town of Amatrice. So that's why it's famous, and it is one of the most popular dishes, especially in Rome, along with the trilogy of cacio e pepe, carbonara, and amatriciana. Those are the famous three pastas in Rome. And there you have it. Now John will take over.
Thank you. Before we're sauteing the onions and the pancetta, and you need to have good quality on that. So I'll talk about the tomatoes. We like to use the small can of cherry tomato. It has a sweetness to it and not the acidic You definitely don't want to do the American style. That's the American style using a jarred tomato. You want to use this, and even on the pasta, you want to use a Barilla or a Di Bella or some other Italian. You don't want to use Muller's or Ronzoni. That's not going to get you. That's Italo American. You really want to use an Italian flavor to this. And then once this is done, we're going to go over there, and of course, as any good Italian, we're going to add a little white wine. And we'll burn off the alcohol piece of it. But the acidity will be gone from that. So we'll go over there, and then we'll throw the tomatoes in, and basically we're just waiting for the pasta. The Barilla pasta here will be done in 10 minutes. But in the beginning, I can then start sauteing the other material.
Dr. P, we did get one question in so far.
Okay.
More of a comment. Can you see it here?
Oh, 1 second. I'll go. No, nothing yet. Okay. It's from Mike Ianazzi. It seems to be. What did he say?
Seems a bit pointy for me.
Oh. Okay. Well, now we're going to throw some wine. Again, you don't buy wine off the supermarket aisle that says cooking wine. I don't know who you'd use that for, give that to. You want to use a wine that you will drink. So you're going to use, your guess, about a quarter cup of wine in it. You back to me?
And if I may add, what kind of that?
And this wine is agave. It's a white wine. And as you can see, I think it's close enough now. It's boiling, and that's what we want. We want it to dry. Throw half the pasta in. We're going to throw in pasta. It'll be about 13 minutes, 12 minutes. Once the wine dries up a little here, we'll then throw in the tomatoes, and it'll be a quick sauce. We're also at this point going to throw in, and to your liking now, the pepperoncino or red pepper, the hot pepper, and we like it here, so we're going to put a little extra in it, and it gives it a little kick. But that's really what the amatriciana is really known for. And
if I may circle back to the ingredients, in amatrice, the real amatriciana only has the pancetta or the guanciale, the pecorino, the tomatoes, and the pasta. Onion is something that was added later by other chefs, and in Rome, they usually use a little onion. Very, very rarely do you ever see garlic in the amatriciana. And the other thing is, in amatrice, in the original town, they use it with spaghetti. In Rome, they use it with bucatini or rigatoni. We're using rigatoni because, frankly, it's easier to negotiate when you eat it.
Dr. Serena, there's a question that came in. They're asking where you find the canned cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, in an Italian deli, grocery store here in Fairfield, you can find it at A&S. You can find it usually any Italian deli. If you can't, you certainly can use the other tomatoes in the smaller can. This is a
These are
7 ounce.
Labale. This is a
How many ounces?
I don't know.
How many grams?
I can't
That's
see
all.
it.
This is you don't have to use. This is a 14-ounce can. Let me hold it up to me. This is a 14-ounce can, and you could get others. But if you can't get the cherry tomato, you could use the other.
San Marzano. You can use a San Marzano. It's quite acceptable to use that as well.
But you don't need the big one. As you see, the cherries, as you cook them here, will burst, and the flavors will be throughout the sauce. Okay, while we're doing that, we're going to get started, at least on the second pasta. And I just need the oil. Again, we coat it with some oil. And on this one, we're going to put the diced onions.
And the origin of this recipe is basically what we put together because of what we had in our pantry and because we love the Italian tuna. And the tuna that you use for this should be the tuna in oil and Italian tuna preferably. We have a couple of brands
Yeah,
here to show you.
Yeah, if Jason, you can come to our screen here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sabina was talking about, this is a tuna in oil. This is float, and there are other kinds. There's the scalini. Again, and you could get these also in an Italian deli. You don't want to use Star of the Sea or all that other stuff that you can make with the mayonnaise and celery and that stuff. That's all water. It does not have the taste. And this tuna is usually dark, as you will see here. It's a much darker, and I'll get it closer to Ariana on this. You can see the tuna is not that white Star of the Sea tuna, which has absolutely no flavor until you put the mayonnaise and all that stuff in there. Again, we'll heat these onions. Now we'll use wine here also, but we're going to wait. We're going to wait till all the ingredients are in there. Okay. Well, let's put. Thank you. Let's put the tuna in. And we'll break up the tuna so that its flavor is spread throughout. Okay. And oh, by the way, we have 2 pieces of garlic whole in here, not chopped. We don't want the bitterness, and we'll watch to make sure they don't burn on here. And now I'll put the black olives. And Sabina, you want to talk about the black olives?
Yeah, we love the flavor of the black Sicilian olives, the wrinkled olives, and we pitted them. And then we use capers in vinegar. Various recipes in Italy call for any type of olives. Some even use green olives. So whatever your preference is, this is kind of a piacere, which means to your pleasure, to your liking. And this is what we like, so this is what we put together for our pasta con tonno.
Okay, and what we'll do here is, like the other, as you can see, we like a little white wine. What we will eventually use is the pasta water in this other one, in the tuna sauce.
So while this is all cooking up,
Yes.
Dr. Sabina, tell me a little
Yes.
bit about your favorite places when you visit Italy. Where do you guys like to go?
Well, I lived in Rome for 10 years, so we always go to Rome. We land in Rome and we enjoy several days there. And it is a spectacular city that has a combination of ancient and Renaissance and Baroque and 20th century, and it's just incredible. Just a rich cultural city. And then from there, we've discovered Positano on the Amalfi Coast, and we love to go to Positano, which is called the vertical city. It's actually built into the cliff, and as you can see from the images, it's quite spectacular. There, at a certain point, no cars are allowed down into the town. It's all walking alleyways and hill alleys and up and down. You really need good strength in your legs, so you have to be quite in shape to do it. And the vistas are absolutely magnificent, and we enjoy it thoroughly. We just sit there and enjoy it. And it's also famous for their ceramics, which you can see as Jason's scrolling on the screen there. And they have beautiful ceramics from the entire Amalfi area. But it is really one of the most beautiful places in the world, as most people say, and we do. So, okay, I'm turning back over to the chef.
Okay, we're taking the pasta out, the rigatoni out of the pasta here. And actually, let me get that going, but we're gonna now stir it in, right in the sauce. And we want to dress it, we don't want the pasta to be soupy. We don't want a lot of extra sauce when you serve it at all. That's really Medigan style. You don't need that. That's okay at your Howard Johnson's, I guess, when they serve it that way. But you want it to be coating it, and the rigatoni, as you notice, has lines on it, and that will adhere. The gravy will adhere to that, and that's what you want. And you want it to sit here. And of course, I always like, the favorite part is making the first serving, and as it sits here, come back for a second, because it's truly very flavorful. While we're doing this, we're going to turn in the second pasta for the tuna, and these are the penne, and they'll should be done in about 8 minutes. And okay. We're going to coat these, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put pecorino on this, but we put it not when the flame is on. You take it off the flame. You don't want that to happen, and you want the pasta to sit just a minute or two while it's done. As you can see, it's coated, etc. We'll shut it. And can you come on this side, because I think I'm going to just move this over. And we're going to put pecorino, not Parmesan, pecorino. Obviously, put a sizable amount, but again, to your liking. And we will stir. Okay. Okay, we'll come over here and get 2 forks, we'll taste. But as any good Italians, we need to have some wine. We're going to have some red wine with our pasta. Again, wine of your choosing. We've chosen here is a Chianti Reserva. So Sabina?
Okay.
Go.
Okay. Buon appetito. Al dente, as always. That's the way John likes to make his pasta. And then I always like to.
And the al dente is that you get a little bite to the tooth. You don't want it to be soft. It's too mushat, as they say. You can throw it against the wall if it's a spaghetti, and it'll stick. You want something that you could taste on it. So, chin chin.
Salute.
Salute.
Very good.
I'm gonna have another piece while we're waiting. And are there any questions, Jason?
So we have one. What kind of wine do you recommend to go along with the tuna pasta dish?
Well, we're going to have a white wine. In fact, we're going to have the Gavi di Gavi, Black Label. You could even pick something that's a little fruitier if you wanted a rosé. But a white wine, we like more of a dry white wine. But again, as I've learned, it's your choice, your taste. Some say you can't have a red wine with fish. If you like red wine and don't like, you have it. You don't want to drink something you don't like. My daughter Ariana can attest to that. So let's go over and see how the penne are doing.
And just by way of comment, with the tuna pasta, you can see another ingredient that is totally missing is cheese, because typically with fish, you do not use cheese in Italy. And it is considered basically a no-no. I think there's very rare if someone's maybe a nouvelle cuisine recipe or something of that sort, but otherwise a typical Italian does not use cheese on any kind of fish plate.
All right, Dr. Sabine, I got a message from Father Ed here.
Yes. We can't see the messages, Jason.
It says, tutta a tovoglia mangiare.
Tutti alla Lydia. That's what Lydia says. Bravo, Father Red.
And we wish you were here enjoying it with us.
Yes, tutti a tavola mangiare. That's right.
And as you see, this is sauce. The tuna is ready, but it's dry. So we will use some of the pasta water. And you want it because it has the starch in it. Actually, if you come close, you can see it's not clear. But that will create the sauce when we throw the pasta in. And we just need to wait. And we did throw hot pepper. I think I mentioned it in here. And we'll take the garlic out now. You don't need anybody biting on a full piece of garlic here. Let's see. These aren't done yet.
Dr. P, there seems to be a debate on YouTube. They're wondering, in your family, do they call it sauce or gravy?
Well, coming from Jersey, it was gravy. It was gravy. That was the Americanized way of saying it. Gravy is when it has meat in it. And I'm going to enjoy this. This is getting cold and I don't want to miss it.
So
And the Italian way, the ragu sauce, R-A-G-U, is the Italian traditional sauce made with meats. And that ragu sauce is the one that the Italian Americans call gravy. So anything else that's a lighter on meats or a light marinara sauce, those are sauces. But anything that has a meat with it is typically a gravy.
Dr. P, we have a question from 2020 grad Justin Weigel here. Can I get a dish of this delivered right now?
What a sweetheart.
You would like that, I knew that, right? Yeah, we wish we could have you all over. And as you saw, and Sabina told, the amatriciana is a traditional dish. The second dish you're making just goes to show you experiment. As Sabina said, we were just one night, wanted something to eat, and we said, let's use the Italian tuna, and then we just built on it. The first time, it was just tuna and onions. Then we've added the capers and the olives. The constant thing, of course, for us is the taste of the onions and the wine. The wine does give it a nice flavor, and you can tell a difference when it doesn't have that. But again, you could use whatever pasta. Actually, with the amatriciana, the classic is the bucatini, which is a real thick spaghetti. And for some, could be very cumbersome to eat because it's so thick and unwieldy at times. So we encourage, like the tuna dish, that you try different things. Try it with vegetables. You don't always have to have a tomato sauce, but everything, you want to dress the pasta. You don't want to have it swimming. It's not a swimming contest. It really is a taste contest. So let me see.
The other day, Ariana requested toasted pinoli nuts on top of the tuna sauce, and that was delicious. So we just toasted them aside and then added them. So that's another option.
Good.
Okay.
And here we go. We're gonna take it out and now put the penne in it, and we keep the heat on, both this and on the amatriciana. So again, it coats and it cooks while it's in there, in the sauce. So it's not that we put the pasta in a dish and throw some sauce on top. You really want to mantecare, is that?
Mantecare, that's the term, when you have all the tastes meld together, mantecare.
All right, so Dr. Sabina, it sounds like this one might be for you.
Okay.
Does Dr. P do all the cooking, or does he allow you to take turns?
Well,
Be honest.
my line on that one is that I do not deny him his passion. His passion is to cook, therefore he does 90% of the cooking. So
I do like 8%.
and my daughter does a lot of the cooking as well. So I don't do too much cooking. I used to cook a lot.
And she cooks very well.
And but they've taken over the kitchen, except for cleaning.
Yes, she's a very good cleaner.
We don't want to deprive you of that.
I guess that's my passion.
So as you can see, we're just letting this really, the flavors seep in the tuna, the olives, and each of the ingredients in this are tasty into themselves. Of course, we salted the water, but you don't need to salt anything else because there's so much salt in the olives and in the capers. So you don't need to do it. And of course, highly recommend that there is no cheese on fish dishes. A shout out to my cousin who does like to put cheese on it. But she's in South Jersey.
And she was called out on it.
So we're almost done here, and I will plate this.
And we're so excited that you're all with us, all this Chu family, our friends from near and far, including Toronto.
Okay, Sabina?
Okay.
Let's
Make it 2 more forks.
we'll get 2 more forks
Sorry.
and 2 more wine glasses. Here we go. This is right in front of that.
Sorry.
If nothing else, we're going to enjoy our wine tonight. Okay, and this is the gavi that I mentioned. I could smell the capers coming out of this.
And
And the tuna.
the black olives give it such a wonderful flavor.
So Michelle Peloso says you should try the tuna with a red sauce. It's delicious.
Yes,
Yes, so we do. Okay.
that's the third
That's
member.
Rosso. We have done it with the red sauce, but since we were doing the amatriciana with the red, we decided to do a white. But yes, Michelle, absolutely.
It's very good, you're right.
Now, a very important comment
You
from
can be very
Deidre.
flexible and very experimental.
Deidre says, "Are you going to cut that fabulous bread? You're killing me."
Oh, okay, let's talk about the bread. Dr.
Okay.
Petillo has taken to baking bread.
Yes, this pandemic has resulted in me baking quite a bit. This one, yesterday, is a raisin, walnut, cinnamon bread. And I made it a couple times, but this one seems to be the best. As I thought it was going to be a whole bread to show tonight, but it's the third done. The other, in fact, let me get a knife. We'll cut this. Made this again. This one yesterday. Okay, I got it. And so this one is it's plain, simple, done, and they're done in a cast iron pot in the oven. There no need breads, so they're very easy to make. And although it's not that we ever have leftovers of this often, but if we do, we turn it into breadcrumbs. Just put it in a food processor and make them the size of panko bread crumbs or finer than that. And they're great. They're obviously even better than the Progresso that you get in the store that we use all the time, but having these homemade ones is fabulous. So these are the two breads. You can try other things. I've made this bread with lots of hot pepper. You gotta like, obviously, we like hot pepper. We do that. We made it also with olives. Chop up the olives, put it in the mixture, and just bake it. And they're easy to make in a cast iron pot and in the oven for 45 minutes. So, thank you for joining us. If you have any other questions.
I have Benjamin Bello says he can tell Rosso's hungry.
Yeah.
Well, let's pick up Rosso. Let's show Rosso.
Ben, I hope you're doing well. Look to see you in the gospel choir soon.
Okay.
And that's Rosso.
And this is Rosso. He's our mini Labradoodle. He's about 28 pounds.
And what's great about Rosso likes dadals, Italian dadals.
Yes, he
I've
does.
introduced him to
Especially fennel
the black,
toast.
that's right, the fennel dadals he loves. So he's really good at it. We're making him enjoy the Italian food.
Well, thank you both very much. This has been a lot of fun.
Happy that you all joined us. Thank you so very much. And everyone, please stay safe and enjoy cooking at home with your loved ones. And we'll
Try
see you
anything.
soon.
Try it all. Thank you. Thank you, Justin, for organizing.
Jason.
And Justin, I'm sorry, Justin's on my mind because he's going to probably be at the front door looking for a dish of pasta.
You're the president. You can call me anything you want. Have a great night, Petillos.
Sorry,
We'll see
Jason.
you soon.
Thank you, Jason, for putting this all together. And Ariana, can you come into the?
Yeah, now you can come
We
in.
would love Ariana to say hello to.
Chewy's going to love the Justin comment, I can tell.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.